Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And, well, before I jump into the various stories that I have to cover this week, I want to give a programming note to say that next week I most likely will not have a show next week, being the first week of November 2nd, I will be in New York City. New York City. Yeah, that's right. New York City for the much anticipated New York City Marathon that I have talked about a good bit since finding out that I would be running the New York City Marathon as part of Team Innocence Project. You can, of course, learn more about the Innocence Project over at innocenceproject.org. And if you wish to contribute to the fundraiser, because I'm not a speedy athlete, I did not qualify as an elite athlete for the New York City Marathon, which means I got in as a charity runner. Well, it doesn't automatically mean that. There are other ways that one could get into the New York City Marathon, one of those being what is referred to as the lottery, which I did not get in through. I'm a charity runner, meaning that I had to raise money for a charity. The Innocence Project was a charity that has a team in the New York City Marathon, so I applied, got in, and I have met the minimum threshold, but I have my own personal goal that is higher than the minimum. I'm hoping to raise $5,000. I'm currently, as I record this, at $4,780, so $220 shy of my goal of $5,000. You can help me reach that by going to run.fppradio.com. So, I say all of that, again, to loop back around to next week. I likely will not have an episode just because of all the various things that are happening in New York City leading up to the marathon. I, of course, get into New York on Thursday, taking a bus from Keene down to New York City, and then I'll check into the hotel Thursday night, pick up my race bibs, and yes, I said bibs because not only am I doing the New York City Marathon on Sunday, I'm also doing a 5K on Saturday as sort of a shakeout race, and I'm definitely going to make sure that I don't run fast in that 5K because, again, shakeout race, just, loosen everything up from travel, and Friday's going to kind of be something like a rest day, although there are things to do. And, almost forgot to mention, I will be in the Parade of Nations, which is actually kind of interesting. Didn't think I'd get selected, just figured, you know what, throw my name in, see what happens. Of course, I was hoping to represent Liberland, but Liberland is not a recognized country, according to the New York Roadrunners who were putting on the Parade of Nations. So I had to go with my second choice, which is the country that I was born in and country that I currently live in, being the United States. But I do plan on, in some ways, representing Liberland. I don't want to say publicly what those things are, but just be prepared to see some photographs after the New York City Marathon of some representation for Liberland at the New York City Marathon, and also during that 5K, the Abbott Dash to the Finish Line 5K on Saturday. And that 5K on Saturday, because I'm doing a virtual run that weekend as well, the 5K on Saturday qualifies me for the Brooklyn Half. It's actually called the Popular Brooklyn Half, Popular being a brand sponsor. They're not saying that the Brooklyn Half itself is popular. but yeah, words are weird. So because of this virtual run through what's called the Virtual 6 program with New York Roadrunners, 2 birds, 1 stone with a 5K on Saturday, get into the popular half in, I believe that's May, the popular Brooklyn half. Oh, and also earlier this week, I found out that I'm going to be running the Chicago Marathon next year. I'm still waiting to find out about the Berlin Marathon, which if I get into Berlin, that would be amazing. That would put 3 of the 6 marathon majors under my belt at the end of next year. The marathon majors, there are some people that think, oh, anything in what I think is a major city must be a major marathon. But there's actually 6 marathons that are considered to be the marathon majors. Those being Berlin, London, Tokyo, Chicago, Boston, and New York City. So I'm on my way to trying to finish all 6 of the marathon majors. It's going to take me a few years. I know that there are some people that do those within a calendar year. If I get it done in 5 years, that would be absolutely amazing. Some of the ones that are going to be slightly more difficult to get into are going to be those internationals plus Boston. Boston is a lot harder to get into. The fundraising limits are a lot higher. For Chicago, I only have to raise $1,200. And I'll be announcing how you can contribute to that in the coming weeks. Got into Chicago as, again, a charity runner, this time for the Ronald McDonald House, which I have sort of a very special appreciation for, and I can explain that at a later time. And again, also will provide the link where you can donate at a later time, and working on getting some matching funds for that so that hopefully all of the fundraising, the minimum fundraising for Chicago, hopefully gets covered by the end of this year. Now, let's jump into some of the stories here in just a moment when we come back here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
This is Roger Paxton from Pax Libertas Productions and the Lava Flow Podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And before I jump into some of the stories that I want to cover, including how you can follow me on Sunday, November the 4th, virtually, of course. I'll tell you about that in just a moment, but first, I've got a question for you. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you use Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, things like that? Do you use those as an alternative in this fiat-centric world? If so, then you need Spend-A-Bit. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy, you guessed it, with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a cryptocurrency accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.fppradio.com. That's spend a bit, all one word, spendabit.fppradio.com. Now, continuing on and actually jumping into, before I jump into the story, there are apps that you can download. Wanted to tell you how you can follow me virtually during the New York City Marathon. There are apps that the New York Roadrunners put out. This, I believe, is specifically being put out by the marathon itself, which, yes, I realize the marathon is an event put on by New York Roadrunners, but it's, I believe, handled as a separate entity in some kind of ways. I will put the link in the show notes, but if you go to tcsnycmarathon.org and then click on race day and then apps and run tracking, then it will take you to a link where you can download either the Android or the Apple version of the app. And the way it does the tracking, in the race bibs, there are what I believe to be RFID chips. I'm not entirely sure the technology that is used here, but there's some kind of chip in the bib. And then there are race mats, or timing mats, are actually what they're referred to, but they'll have these in the New York Marathon every mile, and they use those to help with this live tracking. So what it will do, there will be, I believe, a virtual dot showing you roughly, here's where Darryl is on the course. And that's based on the pace. Here's how fast I have been running, so they're projecting where I will be at any given time. But then when I cross one of the timing mats, it gives a more accurate, here's exactly where Darryl is. So if you're watching and then you see the dot just sort of stop, that doesn't necessarily mean that I stopped. It could just mean that they were projecting that I was going faster than I actually was, and then it's paused at a timing mat until I actually cross the timing mat. So again, that link will be in the show notes. There's also a way to where when you know my race number, which again, I'll put that info in the show notes, that way you can follow me specifically without having to follow all 52,000 people in the race. You can do what's called cheer, and you send a message, and they're going to have giant screens at various places on the course. And they're going to flash up some of these cheers that people send in. So if you want to send a word of encouragement to me or anybody else, you can do that through this app. And we may or may not actually wind up seeing the encouraging words from people. And that's one of the amazing things about some of these races, are just all of the fans that are following and watching, not necessarily from the side of the race, but watching at home. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching the Chicago Marathon from inside the LRN studio. And, it was just amazing watching the coverage and seeing all of the people out there running and having fun doing the things that they were doing. And again, I'll be in Chicago next year, and maybe, fingers crossed, also Berlin. I almost said Boston there for a second. No, Boston's going to be several years because fundraising for that is just absolutely crazy. And I want to do the other ones first and have Boston sort of be the finale of the majors, assuming that I'm able to actually wind up doing all of the other majors. Now, let's jump into, there's actually an article from Self magazine, what you need to know before you watch the New York City Marathon. They're estimating 52,000 runners to take the streets to run through the 5 boroughs on the iconic 26.2-mile event that draws elite and amateur athletes from around the world. It's the largest marathon in the world and also a 5-borough block party, or at least that's what Peter Chiacchia, TCS New York City Marathon race director, says. Each year, nearly 2 million spectators. Think about that number for a second. 2 million people line the streets to watch 52,000 people go running. Now, one of the favorite signs that I have ever seen from a spectator at a race is a sign that says, "Worst parade ever." You know, because generally people line up to watch parades and people throw candy. By people throwing candy, I mean the people on the floats and stuff. So, yeah, marathons, not generally known for the runners throwing candy. But again, that's amazing. 2 million people watching people run. It's absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to be part of it. They say if you live in or near the Big Apple, watching the festivities in person is a seriously cool and inspiring bucket list experience. And if you're elsewhere, you can still partake in the action. Hear everything you need to know about this year's competitors, the epic course, and how and when to tune in. Yeah, that's right. You can watch this from the comfort of your couch, wherever you happen to be in the world. And when I say watch it, I mean like actually on television or on your computer. You can watch video, not just watch a little dot. Stay tuned. There's more.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. It's already been an extraordinary year for the Innocence Project and their clients. They've already freed more innocent people in the past 12 months than in any year in the history of the Innocence Project, and they're gearing up to do even more. The attorneys and paralegals for the Innocence Project are dedicated to doing whatever it takes to set an innocent person free. To support them, a new cohort of law students have recently joined and are excited to help with more than 200 cases of clients seeking to prove their innocence. 9 clients have been exonerated and reunited with their families in 2018 already, and your support now will help build on the incredible momentum of exonerations. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Continuing on with the article, the New York City Marathon draws elite runners from around the world, with many in contention for the win this year. The New York City Marathon, one of 6 world marathon majors, the largest and most renowned 26.2-mile races across the globe. And yes, globe, it's not a flat earth. You crazy, crazy contrarians. I almost said some naughty words there, but I caught myself because I'm being a good boy. That means that many of the top elite runners, both in the U.S. and elsewhere, toe the line in New York City every November. This year is no exception. Race director says the field is rich, stacked, and fierce. On the women's side, there is a, quote, hell of a field, including a strong contingent of Americans who he has dubbed the Wonder Women. The group includes Shalane Flanagan, who won last year's New York City Marathon, Des Linden, who won the Boston Marathon this year, Molly Huddle, who came in 3rd in 2016's New York Marathon, Ali Kiefer, who came in 5th in 2017, Kellen Taylor, who came in 8th last year, and Stephanie Bruce, who finished 10th last year in New York City. The American women will face strong international competition like Kenya's Mary Kitani, probably the most experienced runner in New York City, according to the race director, who says that she won the race in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and came in 2nd last year. Kitani will be joined by fellow Kenyan Vivian Cheruiyot, winner of the 2018 London Marathon. Top contenders on the men's side include Kenya's Jeffrey Kamworor, who won the New York City Marathon last year in his debut race at the marathon distance. Yeah, that's right. A guy that had never run a marathon before not only got into the New York City Marathon, but then won the thing in his first ever marathon. They also talk about some of the wheelchair racers who have a shot at winning. They say there are several factors about the New York City Marathon that sets it apart from the other major races. As mentioned, the course winds through all 5 of the city's boroughs, from the picturesque start line near the Verrazano Narrows Bridge in Staten Island to Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, and back into Manhattan for the iconic finish line in Central Park. Unlike the fast, flat courses of the other world marathon majors, including Berlin and Chicago, New York City is neither flat nor fast. Now, flat here is relative. Compared to races in New England, New York City is very flat. But compared to Chicago and Berlin, not so much. Race director says the course has its challenges right from the get-go. The first 2 miles spanning the Verrazano Narrows Bridge marks the toughest part of the course. As the elevation reaches its highest point of the entire course, runners will cross 4 other bridges along the way. And he says there are little nuances to all of them. Tackle other climbs both big and small, including the deceiving incline at mile 24 on 5th Avenue. He says it's very subtle, but it's a climb, plus rolling hills for the final 2 miles of the race. Runners weave through Central Park. It's undulating, he says. Runners with a combination of patience, hill experience, and strong finishing power will be well suited to tackle the challenging course. And, of course, I have absolutely no, what's the word I'm looking for here? Delusions that I will win the New York City Marathon, but I am fairly confident that I will set a personal record at the marathon distance. Of course, this is only the second marathon that I have ever done. Sort of strange side note, I did an ultra marathon, so I have gone longer than the marathon distance 2 previous times, but an ultra marathon does not count as a marathon. It's a completely different animal. So this will be the second marathon, fairly certain that I can beat the time that I had in Millinocket in December. Weather should be a lot better. The conditions are going to be a lot different. Definitely nowhere near as much elevation in New York as in Millinocket. And I'm also a lot better trained for a marathon this year. Jumping down here, they talk about how you can watch. Not a New Yorker? Here's how you can watch from home. The race will be broadcast live on race day, Sunday, November 4th, from 9:10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time on both ESPN and ABC. And they say, again, downloading the app is your best bet for tracking individual runners and catching real-time updates. Based on the time that I am starting, which is 10:40, and I'm projecting a 4:20 finish. Hopefully I'll be a little faster than that, but that would put me crossing the finish line at, I think it was 3 o'clock. So hold on, I'm doing the math again in my head. So 10:40, 11:40, 12:40, 1:40, 2:40. Yeah, so crossing the finish line about 3 o'clock. So the broadcast will end before I cross the finish line, so you won't see me necessarily on ESPN or ABC, but I'm going to assume that they're going to do with their coverage what was done in Chicago, where they will have reporters at various parts of the course, and they'll cut over and show glimpses of some of those things. So you might see me. Maybe, maybe not. If you are looking for me on television, I will be wearing a red T-shirt that says The Innocence Project across the front. Again, the race number I will put in the show notes, along with that link to the app. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And here in the closing moments, I want to make sure that I tell you about Zencash. You've probably heard me talk about Zencash in the past. It's a privacy-focused cryptocurrency that is offering more than just a cryptocurrency. I don't mean that in an insulting way. You know, it's not like offering a cryptocurrency is a small task by any stretch of the imagination, but the team behind Zencash, or what is now known as Horizon, they're expanding the horizon of what a cryptocurrency can do, and they're planning to implement a lot of privacy-focused things into the platform. Horizon itself is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency itself, including the ability to privately chat with other people, and Horizon is working on enabling the ability to publish information and then also go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to wind up being some kind of secure node system, kind of like what Tor or what's the other one? I2P? Not really sure exactly how the go anywhere on the web with complete privacy is going to work, but they have people that are working on this. They have people smarter than I that are making it happen. And you can learn more about Horizon by going to horizon.global. Horizon. Horizon.global. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Now, let me jump over real quick. And if you are running a marathon, there's an article from running.competitor.com. Link will be in the show notes, where they say what to know about running your first New York City marathon. But some of these bits of advice, they're really good pieces of advice for before you run your first marathon or before you run any marathon. Number one, it says take it easy before race day. And by that, they mean like 1 or 2 days before race day. Not, I've got a marathon in 6 weeks. I don't have to train. I'll be back in 2 weeks answering your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.